Very welcome to our first AMADEE-15 Hangout. My name is Olivia Haider and I'll be the host for this session. We will broadcast in the next 30 to 40 minutes live from the Spacesuit Lab in Innsbruck. And I'm not alone here. I do have some people around, and I have, of course, our princess, Auda, our spacesuit simulator here. But first, I would like to show you the donned spacesuit. Stefan Dobrovolny is at the moment donning. You just see his backside, but you see all the other analog astronauts helping during the donning procedure. I hope that they will finish during our hangout time and that you will see more about his first lab EVA. So, if you have any questions during our hangout, feel free to ask them on our Q&A toolbox. You can also tweet us with the AMADEE-15 hashtag. Before we go into details, I would like to ask our project lead, Gernot Groemer, to tell us a little bit about the AMADEE-15 mission.
Good evening, world. So the sound is fine? Great. Well, first of all, again, welcome to the Spacesuit Laboratory of the Austrian Space Forum. You might wonder what we're preparing for right now. Actually, we are doing one of the final checkouts of our suit for a very, very ambitious mission we're working on right now. And that'll be the AMADEE-15 project, where in August this year, for the duration of 2 weeks, we're going to mimic the exploration of a human crew on Mars, on a Martian rock glacier and a glacier. Now, we know those are existing on Mars. We know there are glaciers. We know there are active rock glaciers on Mars as well. And working on those is a technological challenge. And so in August this year, at the Kaunertal glacier in Western Austria, at an altitude of 3,000 meters, that will be 9,000 feet for our US friends, we'll do the highest ever Mars simulation with humans ever conducted so far. And 2 of our spacesuit simulators will be deployed. There will be robotic vehicles like the cliffbot from the Association Planet Mars, the French Mars Society, as well as the Puli rover from the Hungarian colleagues from the Google Lunar X Prize team Puli Space. And there will be a suite of about a dozen research experiments, which are very, very carefully selected, very complementary, ranging from astrobiology to geophysics to human factors to medical research to also instrument research, and do the same things like we would also expect human explorers to do on Mars as well. And so it's going to be very exciting. We've been planning for this for almost a year now. And right now we have more than 80 volunteers and researchers and aerospace engineers who are participating in this AMADEE-15 mission. So we are very much looking forward to this.
Yes, and I have an item for you. Maybe you can show it to our
one of my favorites.
Audience.
Yeah.
Could you explain?
Oh, sure. The heraldic. So this is our mission patch. It was just released 2 weeks ago, I believe, or so. And it's what you see basically is the symbol of the Capricorn. Capricorn is the logo of the Kaunertal, with obviously Mars on the one side and the mountains with the glaciers and the rock glaciers on the other side. Now you see 5 stars here, and those are 5 stars. These are symbolizing our new 5 analog astronauts. And this is the class of 2015, which will be complementing it's not finished yet, sorry, which will be complementing the current group of analog astronauts, the Austrian Space Forum. Plus, you see 2 little bit brighter stars here, and these are representing the 2 spacesuits which are being deployed. So the AMADEE-15 mission is actually bringing us a lot of research. We hope for a lot of scientific data. Actually, all those data will be publicly available. and they're stored in the Multi-Mission Science Archive of the Austrian Space Forum. And you will also have the opportunity, if you like, to take a peek at those. And if everything goes right, we might be able to relay some live streaming from the mountain as well. So you will be actually able to literally look over the shoulders of our analog astronauts with the little camera on the right side, who you'll see in a second when Stefan Topovolny will be turning over. He's our analog astronaut for today. It's actually his first donning sequence right now, and I think we'll turn over to him. Or
yes, just pull over to him. Stefan?
Can you turn it around?
Yes.
130.
Maybe you could say some words to our audience. How is it to be in the suit for the first time?
Oh, it is nice. It is, yeah, actually not that comfortable, but it is nice being in here. Let's see how it is if it is closed and in full sim.
And how do you feel inside the suit? Is it do you have any, how you say, is it tight or is it comfortable? Any feelings about it?
No, it is not comfortable, but it is, yeah, it is not too heavy. And yeah, my movements are restricted. So therefore it's a new feeling of your body behaving. Mm-hmm. I have to check out what is possible and what is not. So I can give you an update in a few minutes.
Yeah, we're about to close the suit actually, almost. Huh?
Yeah.
We can ask actually the suit tech lead, Zhao. So all the people you're seeing in overalls here, they are actually analog astronauts working on Stefan right now. And Zhao Lozado, he's from Portugal. He's actually suit tech lead for today, which means he's managing all the donning process, which takes about how long?
The complete donning process takes around 2 hours. And we are now in the final stages, so in, I guess, 5 to 10 minutes, we should be there.
Awesome.
Okay, and maybe one question from the audience, or what people don't know, what is an analog astronaut? What is the difference to a real astronaut? How can you describe that?
You want to talk directly to the camera? I'll just put on the headset on you. That's probably easier.
Yeah, perfect. So analog astronaut, it's very similar to a normal astronaut. The difference is that we do the research and testing on analog side. So we do the testing of the technology in environments that are, let's say, analog to what would be, for example, on Mars. Okay. That's the mission we're having. In AMADEE, for example, we're simulating a Mars mission.
Okay. So can anybody be an analog astronaut, or what does it take to become an analog astronaut?
Well, the selection process is actually quite similar to a normal astronaut. So you have to go through medical examination, you have to know your technical knowledge, you have your psychology as well as evaluation. So it's very similar. So it's, I would say, not completely as demanding, but it's a very similar process. And not everyone, but if you're motivated and if you're fit and if you really are willing to do it, absolutely, it's something everybody can do. Okay,
and what was your motivation to become an analog astronaut?
Well, my motivation, of course, is I would like to be an astronaut at some point, and for me, this is the closest thing I can have here on Earth to be an astronaut.
And did you already wear the spacesuit?
Yes, yes, I did. Last training, I was actually in the suit. It was a very nice experience. It's completely different than everything I tried before, and it's quite an experience.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Joao.
I have to get back to this.
Yeah, go back to your duties. And I would like to ask Carmen to come to us. Just put on the, and here's the camera. Carmen, so what was your motivation to become an analog astronaut? I must say, she is our first female analog astronaut. So the class before, we always had male, and she will be the first female analog astronaut during a Mars simulation. So what was your motivation to become an analog astronaut?
First of all, hello, everybody. It's a pleasure that you're here and that I'm allowed to be here. And my motivation to become an astronaut or an analog astronaut is that I would love to become an actual astronaut, and I think that it's very close, the experience, except that we stay on Earth. And for me, it's a dream come true because I always wanted to try on a spacesuit, and it's a very, very great feeling to wear one of those. And it's a great honor and it's a great pleasure. And all the people around me are very professional. And I'm, yes, very happy to be part of this team.
Okay, so one question. Can you name 3 characteristics of a good analog astronaut? What does it take, or which characteristics does it take as an analog astronaut?
I think that that's a very difficult question because I think that we all have very different characters. And I think 3 characteristics that we definitely all have is that we're team people, we're team players, that we like to have harmony, but that we don't mind it if any conflicts come up, and we would like to deal with that. So I think that that is very important for us as a team and for us as an analog astronaut.
Okay, another question. Would you go to Mars? And if yes, under which conditions?
To be absolutely honest, I would prefer to go to the moon. But yeah, just because I have a family and they would definitely miss me if I would be gone for a long time. And the flight to Mars takes about 200 days. And then there are different windows at what time you are allowed to come back. But the trip home takes about 200 days as well. So it's a long time away from home. But to be on Mars would be a great experience. I would love to be there and go there. But the trip is very long.
Yeah, we have some questions from the audience, so I would like to select one. The question is from Susanne, and she asks, how will you live during the mission, and how does the house look like? Do you know that already, how the mission will be, or how will it look like at the Kaunertal Glacier?
At the Kaunertal Glacier? We don't know yet. It's going to be a bit of a surprise. We're definitely going to be very high. It's about 3,000 kilometers, so it's going to be in a very high height, and there is a housing there, but we don't know yet who is going to be who exactly at what point. And what the house will look like, we don't know either.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Carmen. And I will change the settings so that we see the helmet closure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Now we come to a very important point during the donning. Try to set the camera. So the final step before the analog astronaut is ready to go on an EVA is the helmet closure. Kartik Kumar is now helping putting the helmet on Stefan Dobrovolny. So we turn to the camera so we see it better.
So what's happening right now is also that Joao Luzado is right now closing the USB connection. Actually, this is the current design of the helmet. We are right now in the process of upgrading it so that the helmet ring is including the USB hub that once you put on the helmet, then also the head-up display is going on. Right now, it has been already switched on, so you might see a little bit of almost the reflection on the head of Stefan when the telemetry is switched on. There are almost 60 parameters which are being measured in the suit right now, ranging from CO2, oxygen, and temperatures, humidity, the HD camera, of course. We have the audio system. Some of the most important measurements or signals, like the audio signal, are redundant, which means if the primary communication should fail, you see a little second antenna actually at the top of the personal life support system, the PLIS, the black one, and that is the backup radio, which means even if the main power fails, even if the headset should suddenly disappear, we still have a throat mic where I can talk through. And there's a small push-to-talk button on the lower chest part right next to the chest pack, actually. So he's having actually a little tool set in here. Actually, we can take a look afterwards to it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. So what you see here basically is a little tool set with some hammers. There's a little mirror inside, so you can actually look where he's taking his hands. Dangerous knife, of course. You have a USB port where you can put in, for example, a external camera, USB microscope, for example. What you don't see here, because it's on the other side of the chest pack, there are also push buttons where he can navigate within the head-up display to switch the panels inside. And there's also little geological hammer down there. And depending on what kind of EVA the astronaut is doing, we are changing the configuration a little bit. So there are things to grab samples, for example, repair stuff, for example. So depends on the extravehicular activity as well. And you can change the entire chest pack. Happy with that. You can change the entire chest pack with these little buttons here, and you can actually just switch on a different one. So depends on the configuration.
Yeah, I just want to invite our audience, if you have any questions, there is a Q&A box enabled during this Hangout. Just write your questions and we can answer them during the Hangout, or also tweet with the hashtag AMADEE-15 if you have any questions during this Hangout. If you want to ask an analog astronaut or our project lead, Gernot Groemer, we will be here another 15 minutes and watch Stefan during his first EVA, and we also talk to the other analog astronauts as well.
So Carmen Köhler has just removed the umbilicals from the suit, so it's now totally self-sufficient. And you see those little red buttons on the side here where you can actually put in energy from a partnering suit, so they're able to share power. They can also share in principle power with robotic vehicles in the future, and that's a quite nice option, because depending on what kind of power level you have, you can extend it, the range of operation significantly with this thing. You also see the little orange thing in the helmet ring. That is where you can actually taking a sip right now, so you can eat and drink in the suit. You can also go to the toilet in the suit. He's now probably checking out the exoskeleton fit. That's the restrictive element of the spacesuit, which allows you to mimic all the pressurization you would have on an actual suit, which is under air pressure, because you would have a pressure differential of almost vacuum on the outside, around less than 10 millibar typically on Mars, and like 0.4 or 0.6 bar on the inside, and that restricts your movement as well. Okay, all right. So what we are doing right now in the background now is that we will be working with the G radar then, and he will do a first checkout. It's not a functional test yet, but we need to make sure that he's able to push all the buttons and open the boxes, exchange power parts, and also the very sensitive optical fiber, which is connecting the board computer of the G radar with the emitter itself. And I think we're good to go with this. And you also see some LEDs on the back side. These are for communication as well, so they are identification parts. And you see they're pretty mobile, and Stefan is getting excited. That's a normal thing to be in the suit for the first time. So he's been looking for this moment for quite some time, he said, and now he's finally in. I think we're good to go for the GPR part.
I would like to invite Kartik to come in front of the camera and just put on the headset. Yeah, I put it a little bit higher. So, and we do have a question from the audience by Susanne. And I would like you to answer this question. It is the suit like the EVA suits on the space station? I saw a zipper for the arms. Is that white?
So yeah, there are a lot of aspects in this suit that mimic a suit that would be used on Mars. One of the things we don't have, of course, is that the suit is pressurized, but we have a very good analog for that. So underneath the actual exterior that you see, there's a calibrated set of resistances, basically, that mimic what it would be like to be in a pressurized suit. So for instance, a typical EVA suit would be under a pressure of 0.4 bar to 0.6 bar, depending on whether it's a Russian suit or an American suit. So we don't have the suit here under pressure, but we have a very close approximation of that. So things like the zippers and various other aspects, they're all calibrated such that what Stefan is wearing is pretty much as close as you can get to the real thing without donning a real EVA suit.
Mm-hmm. Could you wear this suit on Mars? Would that work? Our spacesuit, the AUDA X spacesuit?
So again, there are a few things, of course, that you have to take into account when you're on Mars. For instance, right now, Stefan is breathing ambient air in. There is circulation and fans that are moving the ambient air through the suit. So his oxygen provision is from the outside air. On Mars, of course, that would not be possible with the atmosphere dominated by carbon dioxide. But various other aspects of it, for instance, the actual outer layer, is tested at has been tested at very low temperatures, so temperatures that are akin to what you would have on Mars. So there are aspects of this suit that could be one-to-one transferred over to operations on Mars as well.
Okay, and I have another question from the audience, from Peter Stadelmeier. What will you eat and drink during the mission? I would maybe like to rephrase, what do you eat and drink during like while you wear the spacesuit? And is there a difference what you eat and drink during a mission?
Right. So the important thing to explain, of course, is that when we are in a mission here, what we are actually simulating is an extravehicular activity on Mars. So the scenario to sketch is, imagine there is a habitat on Mars and you have to leave the habitat, the confines of the habitat. Then you would don a suit like this. That could be for scientific experimentation, could be for maintenance work outside the habitat. In that case, your regular food, let's say inside the habitat, would be as the habitat would be set up. So there are various projects that have been established to investigate sustainable forms of nutrition on Mars inside a habitat. Within the suit itself, there is provision to provide the analog astronaut and an astronaut on Mars, in that case, with some form of energy. So in this case, we have in the mission that we will conduct, there will be an energy bar placed inside the helmet, so you can grab a bite of it if you're feeling a little tired and you need a boost of energy. And similarly, we have 2 1-liter packs of water that are attached to tubes where you can just drink during the EVA. And a typical EVA lasts on the order of 4 to 6 hours. So it's not like you have to provide nutrition for days on end, but there is enough to sustain you through that activity.
Okay. So, Kartik, what was your motivation to become an analog astronaut?
Well, I think it's, and I think I speak probably for everyone here, it's fulfilling a childhood dream. So I think there's, most kids grow up imagining the act of actually going into space at some point. And although we are actually operating here on Earth, as various things have been shown and described, you can get a feeling for the fact that this is very close to the real thing in a lot of ways. Especially psychologically, I can't explain enough what the feeling is like when you're inside the suit and the helmet is closed for the first time. It does feel psychologically like you're detached from the world, that you're somewhere else. And so knowing that this being in the analog astronaut class would offer me that opportunity was motivation enough. Plus, of course, knowing that any work that we're doing, any research we're doing is all contributing towards finally the goal of a successful manned Mars mission.
So I have to change the side. Tell us about your experience in the spacesuit. Did you already have the chance to wear it?
Yeah, I did. In fact, last time around, we had a double donning. So we had 2 suits, in fact, on at the same time, which was in itself quite a challenge. So I donned the Aouda Sierra, and Joao was donning X-ray, which is the one that Stefan is in right now. So that was in itself also a unique experience because that was for our class the first double donning. So it was interesting having the communication also go through the operations desk and the 2 suits. And as I say, the experience of being in the suit is quite indescribable. The moment the helmet is closed, yeah, it's just psychologically, in any case, there is a sensation of having departed and your feet lifting off the ground. So yeah, all around, that was a fantastic opportunity. And luckily enough, I get a second bite at the cherry tomorrow afternoon.
I saw it on the plan, yeah. So what does it take to become an analog astronaut? How intense is the training?
So on the one side, I do think that the amazing thing is that it's a very accessible thing. So in a very clear sense, none of us here are super athletes or I know IQ of 180 plus or anything like that. We're all regular people. But I think what differentiates people who do this versus the ones who maybe think they'd rather not do it is the real motivation and passion to do it. And I think the intensity calls for that as well. So there's in the training, I mean, there's a lot of physical exertion. There's a lot of stuff to learn. In fact, we have our big final exam on Sunday, so we're all under pressure for that. But hopefully it'll be a vindication of all the hard work that's gone into the last training blocks. And there's homework as well. So the days that we are here are not we go home, we take stuff with us from here, whether it's to learn material or to practice with the glove, for instance, the glove exercises. So yeah, I think on one side, I do firmly believe that this is something hopefully that everyone will get to experience one day. On the other side, I do also believe that what carries you forward in this is really the passion and motivation. So yes, if you can capture that and find that, then I think the sky is the limit, literally.
So AMADEE-15 is our Mars analog mission, which is coming up in August. We will have quite some experiments. Do you have any favorite of the experiments we will conduct there? Did you think about it? What you like most?
Of course, that's somewhat a dangerous thing because there are a lot of PIs invested in AMADEE, and every experiment that's been laid out has been thought out carefully, has a very good science return, and I think they will all be interesting experiences for all of us. I think the demo that we got with the life experiment was particularly interesting. So this experiment essentially uses lasers, laser fluorescence to measure organic matter, biological matter. And the idea is that when we're on Kaunertal Glacier, that we will essentially perform the same sort of investigations that could one day be performed on Mars. So there is a setup, there is quite a lot of technical stuff to set up in the experiment, but the nice thing is to see the return on the screen of the laptop and identify that something is living. The experiment we did was with a simple leaf, but this in itself was very instructive. And of course, Kaunertal is not Mars, but it is also an extreme environment, so it'll be very interesting to see what kinds of biological organisms we detect on the surface.
Okay, then the same question I asked Carmen: would you go to Mars, and if yes, under which conditions?
So of course, it's a very difficult question. I think probably for the same reasons that Carmen found it a difficult question to answer. The first reaction, of course, since it has been a childhood dream of mine to go into space and explore new frontiers, is yes. You know, absolutely, sign me up. I'm there. Of course, there are things in your life that you have to consider, family, friends. So I think the conditions are the same that you would have with any space mission, which is that you want to make the best investment to make sure that you have the best chance of making it back to Earth, at least for an initial mission. Once an outpost is set up on Mars, and I can imagine, in fact, that people actually leave as they left to the New World centuries ago. So I think I would do it. I would hope that the first missions would allow people to also have at least the prospect of coming back, so they wouldn't have to bid farewell to friends and family immediately. But yeah, I'd be hard-pressed to say no. I think no would not be on my lips. I would have to figure something out.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Kartik, for the moment. I will maybe try to get another analog astronaut in front of the camera. Meanwhile, just check out what's going on in the background. I'm sure you've seen a little bit. Maybe I can ask Gernot and Joao to step back a little bit. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
So, well, Stefan has to kneel down. Well, he has to unfold the GPR, this geo-penetrating radar. This is a thing where you can take geological measurements. I'm not a scientist, so I'm a social media person. Please excuse if I don't explain it correctly, but I will try to get another analog astronaut to help us answering some of the questions, as Inigo is still in ops. If he could change, or otherwise I take Joao for a second time. Okay. Yes. Okay. Perfect. So Inigo was at the moment at the ops console. So Inigo, if you could just take this up, and then we have to go.
Hello, everybody. Listening to us.
Inigo, so you are wearing this red shirt, the ops shirt. Can you explain what this one is about, or this position is about?
Of course. I mean, I'm acting today as an ops. I mean, I'm the controller of the mission on the field that is in direct contact with the analog astronaut, monitoring all the data that we are receiving from the suit, from all the sensors that Gernot was previously explaining. So we have a real-time monitoring of the CO2, the humidity, the vital constants, and the head rate of the astronaut. So we are taking care of him and as well of our suit. We are as well providing all the astronauts with the proper instructions for the execution of the experiments, and we are acting as an interface between the Mission Support Center that will be here in Innsbruck and the astronaut, so that the information is properly spread and the experiments are properly done. So in case of doubts, the astronaut refer to us, and if we cannot solve it directly, we as well interact with the Mission Support Center and our controllers here in Innsbruck.
Okay, so you're the sort of mission control center which is located at the field itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is. We have like a split operations concept because due to the delay in the communications we will have, and we will be as well in a real Mars mission, we have to rely on the knowledge that the mission support centers, let's say, or the mission control center on the field will have. So we are as an interface between the mission support center in Earth and all the scientists behind the experiments and the actual execution of the experiments in the field. So we are a mission control center within a mission control center.
Correct. While during our simulations, we do have a 10 minutes time delay, which is quite a challenge. I know it from the Mission Support Center perspective, as I was there during Mars 2013. You totally forget that you have a 10 minutes time delay, and you always have to remind yourself that the information you get is 10 minutes delayed. It's really interesting thing to experience. But I would like that we have a look to Stefan, what he's doing at the moment. Could you explain a little bit what his task is?
Yes, Stefan is currently working with the georadar that we will be using during the mission. And now we are testing as well the constraints and the operations of the georadar that we may find working with AURA. This georadar is in use for different surveys and different research that is actually done, have been done in Antarctica and in other places. But operating it with bare hands, so to say, and within the AURA X suit will be quite a challenge. So now we are testing how easy, or better say, how difficult it will be. So he's mounting the georadar and testing some functionalities.
Okay, will you have to perform this experiment as well during the AMADEE-15 mission in August?
Yes, we will be doing georadar measurements of the glacier. So we will be contributing actively to current glaciology investigation. So it's not only an experiment that we will be run for the sake of this simulation, but the result will be as well used in current investigations that are ongoing on the Austrian glaciers.
Okay, and going to the Kaunertal glacier, why is this an analog environment, or why makes it so special that the Austrian Space Forum is going there together with international partners?
Well, there are glaciers as well on Mars. I mean, we are trying to replicate here the same investigation that will be done in glaciers that have some commonalities with the glaciers here in Austria. There have been discovered and researched via remote sensing some glaciers already in different locations on Mars, and we are trying to see how will be the operations down there. You know, in the previous missions, some other aspects of Mars missions were studied by the OeWF, and currently we want to focus on the specific glaciology and the kind of live or astrobiology experiments that will be carried out, because as you may know, water is well, for the as far as we are defining life for the moment, it's a must for the system of life in the universe. So studying the glaciers as well on Mars will constrain the investigation of the eventual life that could have occurred on Mars in the past.
Okay, just wondering if our audience hear the noise just behind us.
Yeah, we are listening to it. I don't know, probably they're listening to it as well. Those are the fans are full power now. I think should be pretty hot inside Aura right now for Stefan. I fully understand that because I had the same feeling.
So you have been wearing the suit already?
Yes, I have been wearing the suit as well. It was and it will be a really amazing experience. Tomorrow I will be doing the donning as well, so I will be inside the suit as well, and it's a really amazing experience. I mean, you are here in the lab, but your mind already starts to fly, and you feel a bit with a step on Mars at the present moment.
Okay, I have another question from the audience.
Yes.
From Reinhard Lustus. I hope you can hear it when I read it out.
I will, yeah.
Okay. On the space station, EVAs are only part of the activities that astronauts do. What are the analog astronauts' jobs outside the suit during an analog mission? So if you're not wearing the spacesuit, what are your jobs during a simulation?
Well, one of our main jobs when we will not be in the suit will be act as safety. Safety is a really important position that we have, that is like a guardian angel for the analog astronaut. We will be caring that nothing dangerous can occur to him. We will be transparent for the mission because we are not supposed to interact, because it's a position that you won't have in a real mission. But safety is a really important thing for us, and we don't want anyone to get hurt. At the end, we will be in a glacier with a really heavy suit. It's not the best playground to be around. So we are taking care of ourselves. I mean, the trust we have in each other is increased in that way, because we will act in some days as astronauts, analog astronauts, some days as safety, and in that way we understand the needs that the other may have. We will as well acting as suite techs, as you have been seeing during the donning. Quite really a team is needed to assist the analog astronaut with the donning, because it's not an easy process. So we know how it works technically, and we can act as suite techs under the guidance of a tech lead, or even being the lead of the donning. So we will be mostly related to the operations of the suit, but in different roles during the whole mission.
Okay, thank you, Inigo. And a standard question, which I ask all other analog astronauts: what was your motivation to become an analog astronaut?
Well, I mean, this is the closest that we can be right now to a mission to Mars. So being so close, it's really a dream, right? I mean, I really want to see someone walking on Mars. Probably won't be me, but this is my contribution and the closest that I can see right now. So this is a way of seeing the future, but on Earth. That was my main. Yep. It's a dream, so to say. It's really a dream.
So do you believe that our generation will witness a human walking on Mars?
I believe it. I believe it because I hope it, but I really believe it. I think maybe late in our life, but I believe that the people walking on Mars are not so far from us right now. I believe that we will see it, and I really will push for it, and with my means.
Thank you, Inigo.
Yeah, thanks to you, and thanks to the audience for watching and for the interest they have in our project, because spread the word. This is really an amazing thing.
Yeah. Okay, and thank you. You probably have to go back to your ops console. Yeah. And I would like to invite for our final audience question, maybe Gernot again, just for one question.
We'll be opening the helmet in like 5 minutes from now.
Okay, then we're live. Yeah. Okay. So
Awesome. Okay.
we have another question from the audience, from Alex.
All right.
Which strategies will you use to deal with isolation and confinement?
That's a very good question. And that's something we see already during our own missions, that yes, you're still on Earth, but on the other hand, you're mentally on the other planet, so to say. So probably the most important issue is communication. Within a very short amount of time, and that's usually like 2-3 days into the mission, we traditionally see this classical us versus them feeling, so that the field crew has the idea that, well, they're going through really hardships. They have to be, working in this harsh environment with all those risks and so on. And the people back on Earth, so to say, have a hard time understanding what they're going through. On the other side, of course, Mission Support Center has the other side of the view, in terms of they're doing everything to make sure they have everything they need, that they have an optimized flight plan, that the way how they're being directed and managed is a scientific, productive way. Now, this can be leading to a conflict at one point or other, and we're putting a lot of effort into avoiding this or postponing this potential conflict. One way to do this is actually to make sure that the people who are Mission Support Center do undergo a training where there are lots of contact with the crew, that there's not so much of an alienation on the one hand. The other thing is that you have to be very, very sensitive in what kind of communication, how you talk with them. And it's not only that you say, well, you're doing a great job, but it also means that you have to be very careful with humor, for example, that you should be reducing your sarcasm, for example. And so the people who are actually communicating with the entire field, we call them the Earth comms. They used to be the Capcoms, but it doesn't make sense to call them Capcoms anymore if you're not in real time anymore. So these are specially trained to find this right balance of how to address them. And to tell a little bit of a secret here, sometimes not only the field needs a little bit of a break from the Mission Support Center, but also sometimes the Mission Support Center needs a little bit a break from the field. And we cultivate this in a very diligent manner. And this is a strategy which evolved over almost a dozen missions now. This will be our 11th mission now, this AMADEE-15 mission on the glacier. So once you look into the communication protocols, like a week into the mission, so you always see a little bit of a decline in the warmth, but that's a normal thing when we prepare them for that and make sure it doesn't end up in a disastrous situation anyway. So we have actually psychologists monitoring the communication and see if they need to intervene in any way. One important thing we teach them to do is to find a channel for letting off steam. That can be an audio diary. There can be letters to the families. We also allow for private conferences with psychologists and medical doctors, for example. We teach them already in the training process with what kind of challenges they will have to endure once they are in the field. And I try to identify with them their individual coping mechanisms. That can be physical sports, that can be, simple things like reading, drawing, painting, writing poems or so. We had that actually in our previous missions. Whatever is necessary to reduce the level of stress and give them another channel for relieving stress and anger.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't think Stefan is going to open the helmet very soon.
Yeah,
he's
could be that we have a little bit
performing
here.
the experiment again. May I ask you as well, one of the questions I asked the analog astronauts beforehand. You are the ex-lead of the AMADEE-15 mission. You know all the experiments which will we perform there. Do I have any favorite? Can you tell a favorite?
That's a tough question. I don't know if I'm allowed to answer that. No. Seriously, it's a hard question because they all have their respective merits. There are some very straightforward experiments, like, for example, measuring the ice layer thickness with a ground-penetrating radar, for example. Now, there are other experiments where we're just looking into, into the tear and wear patterns of the spacesuit in during the mission, for example. There's one particular one which draw drew my intention right from the beginning when it was submitted, and that is the Vera's experiment. I don't know what the others said as an answer, if somebody else mentioned that experiment.
No, not yet.
Okay, this is a really cool experiment because it allows us to virtualize part of the extravehicular activity. Now, the way this works is basically that you have, in addition to the traditional EVAs on the rock glacier, you have 2 more people in a so-called motility station. That's been organized by Franco Carbonari with his team from the Italian Mars Society, where they created a combination of an Oculus Rift 3D goggles where you are in a climbing harness and you are in an omnidirectional treadmill, so you keep walking but you don't move. Whilst in Microsoft Kinect is recording your movement and translating this into a movement in a virtual reality environment. Now, the idea is that we have also a harness which is pushing you up a little bit. So 2/3 of the weight you have are actually relieved by this carefully balanced spring-loaded system. Now, the idea is that you can mimic also from your feeling the 1/3 of a gravity you have on Mars, roughly. Now, this is an experiment series, actually. It's a prototype and a pilot version we're doing here, which has a tremendous potential for future missions because it allows you to actually anticipate the traverses you would do during EVAs and also to rewalk, to reenact certain parts of the EVA with the same data you would have acquired during the actual EVA and have the mission support people reenact this EVA. And the idea is that the geologists can say afterwards, oh, there's a rock you should have taken or so. And that opens a lot of ideas. Now, what we're proving right now is only the functionality of the technology in principle. The next step will be, and I'm very much looking forward to this, is that how we can deploy this in an operational environment. So this, if I would have to choose a favorite, this would certainly be one of those.
Okay, thank you very much,
Absolutely.
Gernot.
You're welcome.
Well, Stefan is still performing
like 30 seconds or so. I think we're good
GPR.
Actually to stop and remove the helmet. Actually, that's going to be a nice moment now. Yes, we can. Yes, I think we can cut it at this point and ask the operation station actually to bring the extravehicular to EVA to an end. I think we should actually try that. And when he comes here, we open the helmet and we see this sign of relief when he breathes fresh air for the first time again. He's actually sweating, although we have a diligently developed thermal control system in the suit. But even without walking a lot, you see there's quite some physical workload on Stefan Topovolny. He will come a little bit closer, and we will then be ready as soon as Ops lets us do that to open the helmet. Okay, we'll go for the helmet removal, and that marks the end of the EVA by definition, because from then on, he's not only dependent on the suit anymore, but he can breathe fresh air from the outside again. And they're removing the USB cable, and look at the facial expression, fresh air again, a big smile again. Okay, Stefan, how is it smelling fresh air again after almost an hour?
Nice.
Yeah, how do you feel? Exhausted?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the heat or the physical exhaustion or the strain or physical exhaustion?
Just getting up and down from the floor,
yeah.
dealing with this heavy backpack, high center of gravity, or
yep.
Force,
yeah. We saw that also in the CO2 data. Then once you go down, that you have a little bit of CO2 floating into your helmet as well. We see that very well. So there's a posture-dependent CO2 level in the suit as well, like you would have on Mars as well, because there's also gravity there. And you seem to enjoy the water. You've been nipping at it all the time. Yep.
Same thing in mountaineering. I need a lot of water.
Yep, that's a good thing, and we always want to keep them hydrated as well. Well, okay. Stefan, thank you very much. And I think we're good to go for continuing the doffing process. That's also a fairly choreographed procedure, workflow, where we want to make sure we don't forget anything when we're taking off the suit.
Okay, and I think we come now to an end of our first AMADEE-15 Hangout. I hope you enjoyed the first one, and I very much invite you for the next Hangouts. There will be the next one in June. This will focus on science. So we have some of the PIs during the Hangout. You will be again able to ask questions. Then on July, 10th for 11th, we have our big dress rehearsal where all people are coming together here in Innsbruck, and we will make another hangout which will focus on the Mission Support Center. There you have the possibility to meet our flight directors, our flight planners, and all the people who make this simulation possible. It's not the analog astronauts are only a small part of the simulation. We have many more people behind, which helps making this mission a success. And in August, during the simulation itself, we're also planning to have a live hangout from the Kaunertal glacier. So follow us on our channels, on Google+, on Facebook, on Twitter, on our website, OeWF.org, Austrian Space Forum. My name is Olivia Haider. I was happy to be the host tonight, and have a great weekend.